Hello, my name is Adam Bray and I'm going to do a video on how to maintain my tools. So we'll start with my bill hook. So remove the cover, and the first thing we need to do is just make sure the handle's secure, and the blade's nice and tight in the handle. I'm checking for any damage to the blade itself. It's all good. This one's pretty new. And then we can look at sharpening the blade, cleaning the blade. We could use some wire wool just to clean the blade down. But first of all, I don't actually have a cigar stone, but we could use a cigar stone. So I'm just going to use my sharpening block as a demonstration. But to sharpen, so we would hold the blade in, and you can use a cigar stone, as I said, just to gently rub over the blade. Just checking for any dents in the blade or anything, any roughness. And you would just gently rub over the blade with the cigar stone. Just making sure that you do both sides as well. And clean the blade down with some wire wool. Just making sure whenever you use any of your tools that they're dry when you put them away, just preventing any rust building up. This way your tools are always sharp and safe. Okay, I'm happy. As I said, this is pretty much brand new, only used a couple of times. And you can also oil your blade on the bill hook. So just gently spraying down the blade. I'm just going to pop that back in the cover. And I'm happy with my bill hook now. So moving on to our knife. So it's removing the blade, and again just checking the blade, making sure there's no cracks, splits or anything in the blade, making sure the handle's all intact, and then we can sharpen our blade on our sharpening block. And to do that, we would just holding the blade on the blade and then pulling that towards us. We can do this 5 times. I think that was 6. And then just making sure we're getting all of the blade. So we start and then we come round to an angle to make sure the whole blade is being sharpened. We can do the other side. Again, making sure we get the whole blade. checking the blade, and again we can clean our blade down with some wire wool, making sure there's no sap or anything on there from previous work. And there we go, nice and clean, nice and sharp. I'm going to move on to our bow saw. So again, just checking the handle, making sure the handle's in good condition, no cracks and no damage to the handle. Making sure this part is tight, this mechanism keeps the blade secure, and also if we wanted to change the blade, we would undo this. So we undo this, and then you just pop the blade off here and here, and then we'd put a new blade on there if we ever wanted to change our blade. So handles are good condition. We just take our cover off. I'm just checking the teeth on the blade. Checking both sides. Again, just making sure there's no cracks in the blade at all. Making sure it's nice, secure and safe. We don't sharpen a bow saw blade. If it's blunt, we replace it with a new one. But we can keep it clean. We can keep it clean with wire wool. So just coming on top of the, making sure you're coming on the back end of the teeth. Just going up and down the blade with your wire wool. Again, it just cleans any rust spots off, any sap, and prevents rusting, giving longevity of life of your tools. Just making sure you do both sides. Just always keep the blade pointing away from you. Very nice and clean. And we can also oil our blade on the bow saw as well, and also any moving parts. So we've got mechanisms on here that we can keep oiled and keep nice and free. So I always just tend to just oil these spots here, here, and then in here, just on the mechanism. Then also oil the blade. Just making sure to do both sides. Just popping our cover back on. There's our bow saw. Nice and clean, nice and safe. And then our loppers. So these ones are a little bit old, but they still work well. they haven't been looked after as perhaps they should have. But that's why we check them, and that's why we keep our tools nice and clean and nice and safe. So again, we're just checking all the handles, making sure there's no damage to the handles or the blades. There are a few dents in this blade, but it's still quite sharp and cuts well. Always make sure this is tight, so you've got a nut securing the two blades together. That's nice and tight. Just checking for any damage. And we're just going to clean this up with some wire wool. Just try and clean as much of the blade up as you can on the loppers. And again, just making sure to do both sides. These handles are a little bit rusty, but you can clean that off as well. I'm guessing these have been left outside in the rain at some point. Just got a bit wet. Almost as good as new. And then again, we've got moving parts on the loppers, so just making sure they're oiled. Just oiling the blade as well. It helps to prevent any rust build-up as well. Good as new now. That's how we maintain our tools.